a protester was charged in his role for the assault of a Jewish student and was chosen to be the class marshal for commencement. That's wild.
Billions of dollars has been paid to Harvard. How ridiculous is that?
27% of their students are foreign students, and they will have to find some other university to go to, and hopefully they find one that cares about them and provides a safe environment.
An Obama judge just reversed Trump's new policy against Harvard, which canceled their student visa, said, how about you just bring in some American students? If you're going to be colluding with the CCP and instigating violence, you're not going to be bringing more people in here. Visas are discretionary and yours are canceled. The judge, though, who reversed this after Noem enacted the will of the American people is an Obama appointee. Her name is Allison D. Burroughs, and she issued this short order without even hearing from the Trump administration as we speak today. But this is all in response to a meltdown by the Harvard folks in response to this announcement by Homeland Security, where they posted this. They said, guess what, Harvard losers? You're being held accountable for collaboration with the CCP, fostering violence, your anti-Semitism, and pro-terrorist conduct from students on campus, and we're going to hold you accountable. And they sent this letter over to them. You see, this is the letter that came out and was sent via Homeland Security to Maureen Martin over at Harvard. They say, all right, guess what, Harvard? I am writing to inform you that effective immediately, Harvard University's Student and Exchange Visitor Program certification is revoked. Enjoy it. And who is drafting this letter? Oh, Noem herself. Oh, that's great. That was probably a really fun letter to sign. Sometimes you want to work in government, and it's just to sign letters like this. She says, it's revoked. As I explained to you in my April letter, it is a privilege to enroll foreign students in our country, and it is also a privilege to employ aliens on your campus. All universities must comply with the Department of Homeland Security requirements, including reporting requirements under the Student and Exchange Visitor Program regulations to maintain this privilege. As a result of your refusal to comply with multiple requests from us to get information while perpetuating an unsafe environment that is hostile to Jewish students, promotes pro-Hamas sympathies, employs racist diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, you have lost this privilege. Now, the revocation of your Student and Exchange Visitor Program certification means that Harvard is prohibited from having any aliens on F or J non-immigrant status for 25 and 26 the school year. This decertification also means that existing aliens who are F or J must transfer to another university if they're going to maintain their non-immigrant status. So you're transferring, classes are over. This action should not surprise you, Harvard, and it is the unfortunate result of your failure to comply with simple reporting requirements. All we needed to know was a bit of info. On April 16th, I requested records pertaining to non-immigrant students enrolled at Harvard, including information regarding misconduct and other offenses that would render foreign students inadmissible or removable. On April 30th, Harvard's counsel provided information that he represented as responsive to my request, but guess what? It was not. As a courtesy that Harvard was not legally entitled to, the acting DHS General Counsel, the lawyers, responded on my behalf and gave Harvard another opportunity to comply. Harvard again provided an insufficient response. And so consequences must follow to send a clear signal to Harvard and all universities that want to enjoy the privilege of enrolling foreign students that the Trump administration will enforce the law and root out the evils of anti-Americanism and anti-Semitism in society and campuses. Continuing saying, if Harvard would like the opportunity of regaining Student Exchange Visitor Program certification before the upcoming academic school year, you must provide all the information requested within 42 hours or else. Please be advised that providing materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent information may subject you to criminal prosecution, and other sanctions and criminal penalties may apply. Noem says, I expect full and complete responses to the following requests. Any and all records, whether you have them officially or not, in possession of Harvard about audio or video footage of illegal activity on or off campus by non-immigrant students enrolled in Harvard. All records and video of dangerous or violent activity for anybody enrolled in Harvard, non-immigrant students. Any and all records or threats to the personnel on campus, anything about deprivation, all disciplinary records for all the students, and any and all video footage in possession of Harvard, give it to us from the last 5 years. Sincerely, your friend Noem. Sent into to Harvard. Obviously, they were not happy about that. And here was more from the letter. They also found from the Homeland Security website saying this means Harvard can no longer enroll foreign students and existing students must transfer or they lose their legal status. They did a study. They came back. They say this action comes after Homeland also terminated $2.7 million in grants, saying a joint government task force found the following. Harvard has failed to confront pervasive race discrimination and anti-Semitic harassment. Jewish students on campus subject to pervasive insults. No meaningful response. A protester was charged in his role for the assault of a Jewish student and was chosen to be the class marshal for commencement. That's wild. So this student, they're like, wow, who should we make the class marshal? How about the kid who beats up the Jew? It's wild. So he got charged, criminally charged. Harvard's own internal study on anti-Semitism said 60% of Jewish students experienced discrimination. One Jewish speaker another said the Jewish story was not tasteful. Pro-Hamas is there as well. Also, crimes in Harvard have increased by 55%. There's race-conscious hiring policies. Harvard got $151 million from foreign government since January 2020. Wild. Making up 13% of the total amount of money they got. 1.1 million, 151 million of that from foreign governments. Harvard also hosted and trained members of the Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps, which is the XPCC, which is a CCP paramilitary group complicit in the Uyghur genocide, even after its designation that they were on a list. Harvard researchers also collaborated with China-based academics on projects funded by an Iranian government agent, part with Chinese universities to advance military optics and aerospace technologies, all spent with DoD funds. Harvard also partnered with individuals linked to China's defense industrial base, including with robotics and other research applications. And so, as you can see, good reasons for them to revoke their visas. And, they should just educate students who are Americans and American citizens. They can free up a bunch of class seats for people from our country since this is America. So the judge who is going to reverse this immediately is this judge, Allison Dale Burroughs, appointed by Barack Obama. She was also the same judge who stopped Trump's initial travel ban. Remember that? Her notable for her order putting a hold on Trump's travel ban back in 2017. So she's been around the block for a couple of Trump terms. But here is what came in to her court. So the Harvard folks and the entire, sounds like Harvard Law Review and the entire law school jumped all in here and they're suing. We've been doing this forever, so we should keep doing it. That's not an argument, okay? You were doing something wrong. You were doing something illegal. You're not entitled to this benefit. So for more than 70 years, no one cares, Harvard, cry harder. Harvard has been certified by the federal government, not anymore, to enroll international students, and it has long been designated as an exchange visitor program. And Harvard, over time, has developed programs and degrees tailored to their international students, invested millions to bring in the most talented students and integrate them into the Harvard community. Yeah. Yesterday, the government abruptly revoked Harvard's certification to host these students without process or cause. There was plenty of process. You guys didn't respond to Kristi Noem. She just explained that to you. If you would have gotten back to her, maybe you could have avoided all this. But this is causing devastating effect for Harvard. Oh, and more than 7,000 Harvard students who were here on visas. I'm sure they'll find a nice new place to go. The government's revocation of Harvard's certification was not the product of ordinary processes, saying this is a violation of our due process, which the judge doesn't care about, and the government doesn't get any due process here. They say on its face, the revocation is part of the government's broader effort to retaliate against Harvard for its refusal to surrender its, quote, academic independence. Well, you can be actually, we're making you more independent. Don't you see? You're a lot more independent now. We're not certifying you and doing this crap anymore. You're not getting money. You're not getting all the benefits. We're not certifying your stupid programs anymore. Go be independent. Stop asking for government handouts. Go be independent all day. In response to the government's disagreement about its viewpoints, the government issued a series of demands to Harvard, and we don't want to give them to them. When Harvard declined, they unleashed the full power of the federal government. That's damn right. Freezing billions of federal grants, proposing to eliminate their tax-exempt status, opening multiple federal investigations, and most relevant here, threatening to terminate Harvard's participation in the visa programs. Just brutal. Yesterday, the government made good on that threat. Good. It did so via a letter that makes plain that DHS is not even pretending to follow its own regulations. Yes, they are. They followed their process. DHS all but announced that the revocation is blatantly in retaliation, all but announced. So they didn't announce it? Great. Revoking Harvard certification is unlawful. It is a pillar of our system that the government cannot invoke legal sanctions or other means of coercion to police private speech. You're not entitled to these things. They're not sanctioning you. They're removing a benefit. Prohibitions on viewpoint discrimination and on retaliation for protected speech are at the core of the First Amendment protection. So it's a free speech case. Yeah, okay. The government's action also violates the APA. Okay, so this is how you know it's a failing lawsuit, because this is their catch-all. When their constitutional argument is horrific, then they invoke the APA, saying, and the Fifth Amendment, due process. This is going to underscore what's really going on here. The revocation is arbitrary, irrational, and unilateral executive action. The government bypassed its own framework, recognizing that the students, right, this is going to be, I think, a big thing that they're going to fight on. The students, like, we don't want to harm the students. They're relying on the promise from the government. Well, just, talk to your administration. Your administration failed you. At the same time, DHS ran roughshod over procedural due process protections, not to mention its own regulations. And so they say we need emergency relief, effective immediately. Harvard may no longer sponsor or even host these people. The thousands of international students who were scheduled to arrive on campus this upcoming summer and fall will no longer be allowed to enter the country. Oh no. Homeland has informed Harvard that the thousands of international students currently on campus, many just days from getting their degrees, worthless now, must transfer immediately to another institution to remain in the U.S. Countless academic programs, laboratories, clinics, and courses that these students support will be thrown into disarray. Should have worked with Kristi Noem. Like, why are you trying to fight the government? All these privileges from the government. Why are you fighting the government? Classmates, teammates, and roommates will be separated. Oh well. All told, the revocation upends Harvard's decades of works. This is like music to my ears. Extensive investments to cultivate their programs that have been wrecking our country. And they seed a lot of the worst, right? Like, it's all brain children of Harvard. A Harvard grad goes like, from Harvard, so listen to me. And then everybody listens to them. And then we got climate change lunacy, trans lunacy, we've got economic lunacy, all sorts of lunacy coming out of Harvard. It's like the root cause of a lot of our problems. We're happy about this. Opportunities, personnel, reputation that attract the most talented international students. You want to help America, you can educate our students. Harvard's like a joke now. You even want to go there? It's kind of got a bad name to it, filled with plagiarists and liars. The effects on Harvard students will be devastating. Without international students, Harvard is not Harvard, which is a strange thing to say. Is it an international organization or is this an American institution? So they're very upset about this. This court should immediately grant this motion, stop them from revoking Harvard student and exchange visitor program, because it's going to be terrible for us. The school must petition for recertification every 2 years to make sure we're in compliance with these things. There are regulations governing the withdrawal of these programs. There's a notice process. Homeland has to give us some details. And there's other regulations about these things too. Like, you can't just revoke these things. The effect of the order of revocation is big, even where a school has already issued the forms saying it's going to undo a bunch of things. Congress created the programs in 1952. Harvard has been continuously certified to host these people for more than 70 years. Today, Harvard hosts more than 5,000 students hailing from 143 countries. They sponsor over 2,000 recent graduates who are in this program. These students are also enrolled across Harvard's 13 schools and make up over 1/4 of Harvard's total student population. So they admit like 25% of the people there are like foreign. Thousands of Harvard's American students have also studied abroad, and so we exchange people all over the place. Harvard has spent a lot of money to infiltrate us with foreigners. Harvard has maintained an unbroken record of certification. 14 presidential administrations, reapproved over and over. And Homeland has granted each of these petitions, including during Trump's first term. But not anymore. You're not entitled to this forever. What are you thinking? On February 3rd, the administration formed a task force to combat anti-Semitism, went in there. Then on March 31st, Harvard got a letter saying, you guys are in big trouble. Then the government sent Harvard a long list of demands. Said, you got to meet these demands if you want our federal money. The April 3rd letter demanded broad reforms, including governance reforms, and they wanted a bunch of things. Viewpoint diversity, abolish ideological litmus tests, hire new faculty that aren't liberal lunatics. Harvard rejected all these demands. In fact, Harvard's president responded and said, eat it. But the government said, okay, fine. You don't want to comply with us, and we're not going to give you these same privileges anymore. There's a new administration here. The government's retaliation was swift and devastating and just awesome. The federal task force immediately announced a freeze on $2.2 billion in multi-year grants and a $60 million multi-year contract. Gone. Why is Harvard getting billions of dollars from us? Don't they have like a $50 billion endowment? Don't they have the richest people on the planet who go there? They can fund themselves. They don't need a dollar of our money. The next morning, then Trump himself targeted Harvard itself on a Truth Social post saying Harvard should lose its tax status, saying there they're inspiring a sickness. And what happened later? Boom. Harvard got sent the letter from Kristi Noem saying, you better respond to us or you're in trouble. Like the prior correspondence, they said, this is hostile. The records request then shifted gears, saying, we're monitoring these schools. And Harvard worked diligently to collect these records. Trump was doubling down. They produced some information. Kristi Noem said not good enough. Then the university had direct outreach. Counsel sent Harvard another email, concluded, nope, your response doesn't comply with Kristi Noem's request. They sent some more emails back and forth. They said, can you please clarify? He responded, said, yeah, here's your clarification. Then they revoked it. Boom, Kristi Noem, your status is hereby revoked. It acknowledged the profound consequences of this. They said, yeah, no, everybody's got to move. So 7,000 students, figure it out. If you want to comply, you got 72 hours. They also issued a press release saying the Jewish kids and the Chinese Communist Party, bad progress in both those arenas. And here is the damage. The government's action will lead to a cascade of irreparable harms. Oh, this is going to be good. It purports to strip legal status from all of Harvard's international students overnight. Each of Harvard's more than 5,000 students on visas, as well as more than 300 dependents lawfully present here, will either be required to depart or told to transfer. So figure it out. The same is true for F1 visa holders who have graduated or are participating in their other programs. In fact, Harvard will lose 26% of its student body all at once. Afuera. Goodbye. Without this certification, newly admitted international students will also not be coming in. Harvard will not be able to host students for the upcoming summer term. This constraint will destroy Harvard's ability to welcome new students, including those who've already accepted these offers. Maybe you should have cooperated. These immediate consequences are severe. Yeah, now you're finding out, right? FAFO, they say. An institution is made up of its members, and all these people are important. It's going to be a standstill if they have to go. With the stroke of a pen, the government has sought to erase a quarter of Harvard's foreign student body. Without those students, Harvard is not Harvard. So I think they just copy and pasted that from above. The government's lawless revocation inflicts irreparable harm. We're going to be damaged. It's Hornbook law that loss of First Amendment freedoms is a chilling effect, and Harvard may no longer host these people. We got 5,000 students. We got all that. Even if Harvard loses this, it's going to be arbitrary. Consider the Harvard Kennedy School, their public policy school. America's future leaders seek out the Kennedy School. Yeah, we don't want people going Harvard. We don't want any Harvard people in government anymore ever again. They're morons. They've gotten us to this point. Yale too. All the Ivy Leagues. You're idiots. Look around. We have to fix it now. Harvard will not be able to recruit the most gifted American students to the school. Okay, well, again, we don't want the most gifted students going to your school, so that's great. More broadly, the loss of international students is also going to cause a harmful feedback loop because the most talented American students will not want to attend Harvard if it's isolated. Well, the most accomplished professors will go to other schools. And so we're going to have this drain on talent in America unless we have you stop this. So Harvard respectfully urges this court to enter a TRO and stop Trump or Kristi Noem or anyone from implementing this, from revoking anybody's certification, making sure all these 7,000 foreign students don't go anywhere. Named by Barack Obama, named Allison D. Burroughs, issued a very short response without even hearing from the government at all, said, it's granted. Harvard, you win. For the purposes of this case, and under Rules 65B, the injunction rules, they say that Harvard has made a sufficient showing that Christie, Bondi, and Rubio are going to cause irreparable and immediate injury before there is an opportunity to hear from all parties. Okay, so don't even need to hear from the government. It's done. Thus, a TRO is justified to preserve the status quo pending a hearing, and the Harvard goons win. Accordingly, Trump, their agents, and anyone acting in concert or participation is hereby enjoined from instituting or giving effect to any of the revocation, giving any force or effect to the revocation notice signed by the Obama judge, Allison D. Burroughs, out of Massachusetts. So, of course, this one is going to be a lot of fun to cover. Trump hasn't even had a moment to respond to this. They will. We'll have hearings. We'll probably have some appeals on it, and it's going to be a lot of fun to cover. But here was what Kristi Noem said about it when she was asked on Fox what she thinks about the developments with Harvard.
So as you mentioned, 18% of Harvard freshman class this year are foreign. They're foreigners here on student visas. What happens? Where do they go now? What do they do?
Yeah, we have given Harvard multiple opportunities to give us the documentation that we've requested to conduct oversight. We've asked them for the backgrounds on students that attend their university, their criminal activity on campus, off of campus, any video or audio footage they have of this violent activity, and they have just simply not complied. This is something that they need to do in order to comply with this program as it was established. And so, unfortunately, all of their foreign students will face the consequences of Harvard's lack of protecting the individuals that go there. So 27% of their students are foreign students. students, and they will have to find some other university to go to, and hopefully they find one that cares about them and provides a safe environment.
That's nice. Yeah, Harvard obviously doesn't. They could have just cooperated and complied with Homeland, but they didn't. And now they're going to go crying about how horrific and consequential and damaging this is. You played with fire, you got burned. Now your students have to go. At least not yet, right? The judge stayed it for now, but we'll see where it goes ultimately from here. Trump was also asked about the Harvard battle in the Oval Office. Here's what the president said.
Are you considering stopping other universities besides Harvard from accepting foreign
Well, we're
students?
taking a look at a lot of things. And as you know, billions of dollars has been paid to Harvard. How ridiculous is that? Billions. And they have $52 billion as an endowment. They have $52 billion. And this country is paying billions and billions of dollars and then gives student loans and they have to pay back the loans. So Harvard's going to have to change its ways. So are some others.
Billions to one of the most prestigious and richest schools in the country. It's a grift, just like everything else was a grift. USAID, all of the Democrat NGOs, even the religious NGOs, all of them, right, in on it. And now Harvard is losing their access to the government teat. They can cry all day long about it. I hope the Trump administration is prepared for a battle because it looks like the entire Harvard faculty is coming onto this case. We'll be here continuing to cover it. Thanks for subscribing and joining as we do.